まさか母さんが殺されたのだ。
昨日のうちに帰ってから日本語勉強しましたか？
Hello, my warp stars and pop stars. Welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 24. I am your host, Oni Dino. With me, I have not Waddle Dee nor Waddle Do, but the third variation, Waddle Don't, aka Galen.
I like the warp stars and pop stars one. That's a pretty good one. I like that.
Thanks. I figure some of them are pop stars. Some of our lovely listeners.
Yeah. Also, I have to ask, if I was sucked up by a Kirby, what power would he get?
The power of procrastination.
Most likely. That sounds 100% accurate.
Man, you should have been like, yeah, let me think about this though. I'll tell you tomorrow. Hey, PSA to all of our lovely listeners. We at Nintendo Everything are giving away a Switch console. And not just any console, but a limited edition, one-of-a-kind Switch console. Now, to celebrate the release of the sci-fi action-adventure game Truberbrook on Switch next week, publisher Head Up and Merge Games have created a special Switch system, and they were kind enough to give us the opportunity to give that Switch console away along with a copy of the game.
Well, golly gee, Mr. Oni, that sure does sound swell. How do I get a hold of it?
Well, not you, because that was terrible, but hey,
This is a rip.
if you want to enter this contest, all you need to do to enter the lottery to win is to follow us on Twitter at NinEverything and retweet the post that is pinned at the top of our page, and that's it. If you happen to follow me on Twitter at Oni_Dino, you can find the link to it right there as well. The competition is open to all regions, so there are no restrictions. The giveaway ends on April 17th, which is when we'll also announce the winner. So do check it out, do retweets, do win.
I've actually seen the images that have been posted of it. It actually looks pretty cool.
It is really, really cool. We have, I should have said that too. We got images on our website. And I mean, if you go to our Twitter, there's images there too. There's lots of little stuff all over it. It looks really, really nice.
So I can enter this too, right? Right?
No.
Oh.
And
Waddle don't indeed.
that's... I'm still dying. Oh, God. It's better than last week, but I'm still dying. And a second quick PSA to all of our lovely listeners. The EU eShops are doing a Blockbuster sale that is live now. So you can get discounts on, I think it was like Zelda and Mario and Skyrim, Doom, Wolfenstein, like all the really, really big names. They're all on sale on
Smash
the EU
Bros
shop.
is in there too.
Ooh, Smash Bros. Yeah, and that just came out, so that's that's a good one.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised to see Smash Bros on that list.
Yeah, I mean they didn't need to reduce it at all. I mean that game is just that game is sales fire right now.
Right?
Just burning up bills in every time zone. Time zone? What? Region. Ugh, my brain. So, let's get to the episode. What's coming up this episode? We're going to be talking about Octopath Traveler losing Switch exclusivity, a new mode leaked for Smash Ultimate, God Eater 3, and more Labo VR features for Mario Odyssey. So, lots of exciting stuff to talk about. Let's hop on over to our adventure log and then get to talking. What do you say?
Sounds like a plan to me. Would sound like a better plan if I could get an entry into that Switch contest, huh?
No!
Huh?
So, Galen, you have been playing something called Event Horizon, which I have no idea what that is. I only can think of the movie from the early 2000s. So tell me
You know
about
what?
it.
I kind of thought the same thing. So this is a little weird indie game that I actually found on the eShop. It was actually on sale for like $2.
Uh-huh.
So I decided I was going to take a chance on it and try something a little bit new. The gameplay, as best as I can describe it, it's a space flight simulator from a top-down perspective. So think asteroids, like classic asteroids.
Okay.
You get to build yourself a fleet of ships, and each ship is fully customizable in the sense of you can equip armor and weapons and engine and energy outputs and different things like that. You can even equip little floating like remote drone satellite ships that can fly around you, and it offers a surprising amount of customization and flexibility. The gameplay is just like you're playing classic asteroids. You're just fighting another ship with some obstacles, meteorites, and asteroids that are floating in between.
It sounds very arcadey.
It really is. It is a very easy pick up, play it, put it down, and don't give it much thought. Like, it's a good way to turn your mind off because there's not a lot of complexity to it. I wasn't expecting a whole lot for $2, but yeah, I was actually a little bit surprised. I wasn't expecting to get so much out of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that the Switch, because of it being portable and all that junk, is fantastic for those little experiences as well as the big experiences. So I think it's very important as a Switch owner to own a few of those kinds of games at least for turning your brain off, maybe playing a little bit right before you go to bed, or just turning on when you're waiting in line for something.
Exactly. As a side note, though, I'm probably not going to be playing it for much longer because I just got some new amiibos in today, and I completely forgot I ordered them, and now I'm going to have to go and switch back to Smash Bros. And start training them up. So,
Ooh, what amiibo did you get?
I got Ken and Young Link.
Cool. I think I need to go and pick up the Ken amiibo as well. He just pairs so well with Ryu.
Right?
If you know what I mean.
I'm actually excited about the Young Link one because I want to see how that translates over to Breath of the Wild. See if there's any kind of connectivity on that.
It probably just mirrors the other Young Link amiibo that they had before. They have like a Majora's Mask one. Man, they have so many like basically reprints, but not reprint. That's the wrong word.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm trying to say. Of like the same iterations of Link.
Yeah. Well, and I know they have the Toon Link one, which
They have a couple
can't
Toon Link
remem-
ones.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
And yes, they do have the Majora's Mask one. I'm wondering if this is a copy off of that or if it is emulating like another amiibo. So I'm going to look into that and I will let you know what I find.
Interesting. I'm going to take a guess that it is not emulating, it's not like the exact same chip inside of it as the Majora's Mask one. I think otherwise we would have found out that they could have just used that amiibo that they already had out as opposed to the Young Link amiibo that's coming in today.
Yeah. The Majora's Mask Young Link one was kind of hard to get a hold of because it was a Best Buy exclusive. And back when that came out, it sold out in like the first day that, of course, pre-orders were available because that's the culture that's there.
Yeah, when they do retailer exclusive amiibo, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Which, speaking of exclusivity, I've got words on that, but we'll talk more about that later.
Okay. It's also so funny how like you can find those retailer exclusive ones like in the States. Well, I mean, you can't find them, but then in, say, Japan, you can find certain ones of those anywhere. So like the Rosalina amiibo, the Smash amiibo is like all over the place.
Anyway, Oni, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a little bit of my favorite pink fluff ball because I love him so much. Kirby in Kirby Star Allies.
Oh, Kirby, I wouldn't have guessed.
Shut up. Now, I've already been playing this game like a bunch before, but I haven't played it in a minute. So I just happen to just be full of Kirby, as Kirby is often full of other things. Gross. He's a vor monster. Anyway, I picked this game back up, and it just reminds me that is a damn good game. It is super chaotic, though, with a party of 4. But a party of 4 is great fun, but I think that having a party of 2 makes it more exciting for me because there's a little bit more strategy involved. You want to get hit a little bit less, and it's not as crazy on screen. It reminds me a bit more of like Kirby Superstar back on the SNES. Not too much to say about that other than, wow, that game is really good. Wow, that game is a lot of fun. Wow, I wish it had online co-op so I could play online with a couple of people like you.
That'd be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it's a bummer that they never included that.
Yeah.
But I love that they included so many different allies in the game as post-launch free DLC. That was awesome. And I always play with Marks on my team because he is terrifying eldritch horror mixed in a tiny little package of cuteness, which is what Kirby is all about. The history and the lore of Kirby is all about eldritch horrors in cute tiny packages. Now let's move on to the news.
So long, Bowser.
So first up, we have news that Octopath Traveler is apparently coming to PC. Now, according to a blog post that was quickly deleted by Square Enix, it's coming to Steam and the Square Enix store on June 7th of this year. Now, this is interesting because July in Japan, the smartphone game Champions of the Continent, is also coming. So this is kind of all we have right now. It's not exactly confirmed, but I mean, it's all but confirmed, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that they're expanding the Octopath Traveler brand and world, though. Like, ultimately, I do think that this is a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, in any chance that more people can get a hold of and play games, I think that is a good thing. It is a little bit sad to see that such a beautiful and artistic game is kind of leaving that Nintendo selling point. I'm glad to see it in a position where more people can play it, but I'm sad to see that Nintendo no longer has that as a talking point. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
I feel the same. It came out last year, though, on the Switch, right? So, like, it's been
It's
a
true.
timed exclusive for however long, so that's great. People have already experienced it, and
Yeah.
people have already loved it on the Switch. And now more people are going to be able to experience this great game, and that's a good thing, ultimately.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, I'm still getting used to timed exclusives. Like, I know they've been around for a couple of years now, but it's odd to me to think that that is something that needs to be taken into account when you're thinking of, hey, do I want to pick up a game or not?
Yeah, and especially with this one where, I mean, who knows? It wasn't public knowledge that it was a timed exclusive, so perhaps it wasn't even originally planned to be a timed exclusive. Now, when a third party goes into exclusivity deal with a console maker, they, of course, have all kinds of contracts, all kinds of clauses in their contracts where they could buy out or whatever, or perhaps there's an absolutely no buyout deal, you know? So whatever it is, it was written into the contract. Perhaps Square Enix was like, whoa, this was a bigger success than we thought it was. We want to grow this brand. And, I mean, we saw them post-launch, they trademarked after the game the terms HD 2D and HD-2D. So they're clearly pushing this further. I think that they just got, my speculation on this is that it just got way better or way more popular than they thought it would be, and they bought out the rights from Nintendo or whatever I'm trying to say there, and then are trying to put it pretty much wherever they can at the moment.
No, and I think that's definitely that is the case. And especially Square is not necessarily any stranger to these kind of timed exclusivity deals. Like, I'm thinking about the Rise of the Tomb Raider game. They did something very similar where it was exclusive to Xbox for a number, for about, I think it was about a year or so.
Oh, interesting.
And then they released it out to everybody else. So.
Yeah, I mean, this talk of exclusivity it's a bit of a touchy subject for some people because I mean, say a super dedicated Nintendo hardcore fan who loves their Switch, perhaps they would be upset by this,
Yeah.
because they think that it's going to ruin their experience or something. Spoiler alert, a game losing exclusivity will not ruin your experience.
Exactly.
However, I understand their frustration because, it's part of what they feel is special to their Nintendo Switch and to, their brand that they love so much. However, I think that it's smart and healthy to release those emotions from this business and industry that is video games. Because the Switch is losing exclusivity to this does not mean that the Switch is lesser or something like that. This isn't a console war kind of thing that should be perpetuated. We need to reduce the amount of console war nonsense that's going on out there. And I think that the way that we choose to respond to these sorts of announcements is a good opportunity to do that.
Well, and I feel like the history of console exclusivity and just exclusivity in video games in general is really interesting because it originally started from a standpoint of most developers never had the budget to be able to make games for multiple different consoles. Like, you have to completely redevelop the game, and yes, you may be able to reuse the same assets and whatnot, but making it for the PlayStation and then making it for the N64, for example, you didn't see a whole lot of games that were cross-compatible like that. Going back even further, you look at Aladdin for the Super Nintendo versus Aladdin for the Sega Genesis.
Yeah,
they
those
were
are two. Go ahead.
Yeah, they were two completely different games.
Exactly.
Once technology started to become a little bit more easier to develop for, when they released things like the Unreal Engine, something that it could be used to make the same quality thing for multiple platforms, that's when we really start to notice and see games that would be released for both of them. And the entire concept of, hey, let me give you some more money if you only make your game for us.
Right, and in addition to that, there were also the issues of a third-party developer not having the budget or logistic capability for distribution and publishing rights. So they find a publisher, and sometimes that publisher is a first party like Nintendo or Sony or something like that. There's tons of different reasons why a game could be an exclusive to a particular console.
Yeah. From a consumer standpoint, it was always very interesting as to, if a game came out for multiple consoles, what console do I get it for? Like, this was especially prevalent in the last generation for me, because back when I had the PS3 and the 360, a game like BioShock came out. I would ask myself, what console do I want to get this for? And it relied on, who am I going to be playing this with? What are my friends also getting?
Oh yeah, that's so frustrating.
As kind of a deciding factor. Yeah, and if one person gets it for the 360 and one person gets it for the PS3, well, now you have a tougher choice to make. Like, I've worked with people who have picked up Destiny, and I would have loved to have played Destiny and run around in that game with them, but they had it on the Xbox One and I have it on the PS4. And it was a very awkward position to be put in as a consumer.
No, as a friend, not as a consumer, really.
Well, and both. Like, you want to be a good friend, you want to be able to hang out with these, but you also have your own personal reasonings for wanting to go with one console versus another. And I feel like with the focus on exclusivity, they kind of brought up issues that didn't need to be there in some cases, just in the sense of trying to increase their own personal sales.
Wait, I feel like I have no idea what the hell you're talking about right now. If it's exclusive to a console, then it means it's only in one place, and then this problem doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
I meant like timed exclusives.
Oh.
Yes, sorry, I should have rephrased myself.
Okay.
But I think, like, using another example, another game that was in this kind of situation that recently came out was the Phoenix Wright series. I've loved the Phoenix Wright games for quite some time, and, you know, they originally came out on the Game Boy Advance, and then the Nintendo DS, and then so on and so forth. They've always been Nintendo console games, even though they were done by Capcom, the third party. Most recently, with this remastering that they've done, it's now available on the Switch, but I've also noticed that it's out on the PS4. And that was really interesting to me. Like, that kind of threw me off a little bit when I noticed, hey, I could get this on not a Nintendo console. That's weird to me.
Mm-hmm. For certain games like that, though, I like, just personally, I'm like, oh, this is a total no-brainer. It's the exact same experience. I'm definitely getting it on my Switch so I can lay in bed like a lazy butt and then play the game there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm definitely right there with you. I will definitely be, when I pick up that game, it's definitely going to be on the Switch because I like the portability aspect of it, and I think that fits better towards what that style of game should be.
And hey, a quick shill for Nintendo Everything. We just released a review of the Ace Attorney trilogy on Nintendo Switch. So if you're on the fence about that, you should check that out.
Nice segue. I like that.
I don't know if it was a segue, it was just a shill. So anyway, Octopath Traveler probably going to the PC via Steam and Square Enix Store. That's good stuff. If you haven't picked it up yet, maybe do that. Maybe pick it up on the Switch. It's a good game. It's a pretty game. I'm Oni Dino, and I approve this message.
Buy it.
Springman!
So next up, little quick announcement that Tetris 99 has announced its second Maximus Cup. If you missed out on this announcement the first time, here's what's going on. The top 999 players will each receive 999 My Nintendo Gold points, which is basically just $10 US, which you can use towards a future purchase for video games. Now, this is happening on April 14th only. So that means Sunday, aka today, when you're listening to the podcast. So turn on your Switch right now and win some money while you listen to our podcast. How about that? You gonna give it another shot, Galen?
Yeah, because I was reading the rules on this one. They've actually kind of changed up how they're doing the ranking. You no longer have to get to the very top. You don't have to be the number one Tetris champion. It's ranked on how you get points depending on where you land in that actual thing. And when you get, like, I think it's 100 points or so, you get a Maximus point, and that's what actually is going to be ranked. So you don't have to win every single match and be the top 1 out of 100.
That's fascinating. That's really good for the people like you.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? That was one of my big complaints on the first one. Like, I have yet to actually get a first place win on this. I've got close. I've got second several times, but I just can't squeeze out that one little win at the very end. So I feel like this rule change does make it a little bit more open and inviting. And I feel like this kind of justifies the prize pool complaint that I had beforehand.
Which I think is BS anyway.
Well, I still stand by my reasoning on that one. It doesn't cost them anything, and it gives it a little bit more of a competitive atmosphere and rewarding the skilled members if you had that higher prize pool. It's the top 99 people instead of 999. With that said, though, I do appreciate this move a lot more. The fact that you don't need to be number one all the time, it's more justifiable.
Yep, so get good.
Tetramino scrubs.
So next up, Nintendo seemingly leaks a new mode for Smash Ultimate. In a screen grab from a new Nintendo commercial for Smash Ultimate, you can see on the television in the commercial the UI in the Games and More menu. And the selectable options are noticeably different than the ones in the current version of the game that is live now. This new option shows Stage Builder. So Stage Builder is probably coming to Smash Ultimate. Now, this is no surprise that this was going to happen. Brawl and Smash for Wii U both had the feature.
I'm actually kind of surprised to see this in here, considering that they have put so much emphasis on how many different stages that they have brought over into the game. Also, with them toting the ability to change stages mid-level, or mid-fight and mid-match, I'm wondering if they are going to incorporate these custom-made levels in a similar way. Like, you can switch... Yeah, like you can switch between custom-made level to custom-made level to custom-made level, and have that separate than when you're playing the official Smash Bros. Ones.
Yeah, I don't see why not. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I hope that they expand some of the features, because I remember using it on, I think it was the Wii U, I can't remember, and I remember the features being like surprisingly limited. Perhaps that was in Brawl.
Yeah. I remember I got into the Stage Builder a lot more in Brawl than I did on the Wii U version. Now that I think about it.
So it'll be interesting to see what new features they include, not just like a drag and drop of the Stage Builder from Wii U to say. Exactly.
And I'm also wondering what other features they're going to be bringing to Smash Bros. In general. If they're bringing back Stage Builder, what other modes are they going to be bringing back? I mean... There were a lot of modes that were surprisingly absent from this game. Some simple things like target practice or target mode, or the home run contest. Like, those are things that have been stapled since game 1, and now they're gone.
Yeah, I could see them updating them with future updates along with DLC. That would make sense.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping for, I should say, is that I'm really hoping that they don't use these iconic modes as a fallback on new additions to the game. I hope they bring back these modes as well as with some new ways to play the game.
I mean, they launched with a whole bunch of new stuff, though. So, you know what I mean? It's not like they held back new stuff or something.
Well, it's true, and the ability of like the Spirit Board and their version of that storyline was pretty unique and pretty fun to play through. But I would love to see them do a new take on Trophy Rush, for example, or do like a new form of Spirit Rush.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that really happening, but we'll see, huh?
Yeah.
So perhaps everybody loves to, like, every 2 weeks, people are like, we need a new Smash Direct. Where is it? Oh, it was rumored that there's a Smash Direct today. Like, oh my god, it's the worst. Like, listening to that stuff is the worst.
I do remember seeing something saying, hey, there's a Smash Bros. Direct last week, and...
Wow, someone on the internet said it. Cool,
yeah,
now
seriously.
Let's all believe it. Christ. So... But really, though, perhaps a mini Smash Direct is on the way to show off Joker and announce the new spring update and detail what's in that. And some big news this week, we finally got announcement of God Eater 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
This is releasing on July 12th of this year, so fairly soon considering it's April already, mid-April. Now, God Eater has always been a game on a portable console, so when this released on like the PS4, people were like, well, where's the portable portion? Why don't you just release it on Switch? Ever since it was sort of announced, people were like, is there going to be a Switch version? Can we do a Switch version, please? So this has been requested by fans for sure.
Very nice.
Now, exclusive to the Nintendo Switch version, pre-ordering nabs you Tales of Vesperia costumes, which is pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of pre-order bonuses. However, it's nice that they are doing a little extra thing for the Nintendo Switch version, considering it's releasing later than other versions. So that is nice, but a little conflicted considering it's doing the pre-order bonus nonsense. Did you check out the trailer for this by any chance?
I did. I have to be honest, I'm not too familiar with the God Eater series
Okay.
as a whole. I've seen little bits of it, but I've never got my hands on it and never known anybody who's played it and wanted to talk about it. So, the trailer looks pretty cool. It reminded me a lot of what an anime version of Monster Hunter would be if you went a little bit more on the creepy monster side.
All of that, yes, definitely. I can't believe you haven't mentioned how awful the frickin' music was in that trailer.
Oh, I was gonna get to it right after I talked about the live cuts that they would go over to the real people who are playing the game. There's one scene in particular where it is showing off like the emotes that you can do with your character, and they switch back over. And there's this one girl who's playing the game who is so excited at the emote, she starts shaking her and steering her Switch back and forth.
Yeah.
I lost it. I was like, yeah.
So as soon as that trailer turned on and the music came in, I was already just like, oh, this is garbage. This is hot garbage, this song. It's already one of those crappy anime pop theme songs. Which, I mean, there are some good ones, but oh my god, do so many of them just exhibit the worst part of modern anime, or not modern anime, modern J-pop right now. It just sounds so bad. And then this was that, but turned into English and sung by not a singer. I don't know who that person was. Like, whoever was the vocal director for that, oh god, it's just, it's hot garbage. So watch that trailer with the music off, because it's a good trailer showing off actual Switch footage, which is nice. And it looks like it's running really good. Looks like it's running at a pretty decent frame rate. I only watched it once, and I was sort of sleepy at the time.
Once is all you need. Once is all you need.
With that song, for sure. But I wasn't sure if the video was playing in 60 frames or not, so I couldn't tell if like, I'm wondering if this is going to play at 60 frames or not. Because, I mean, it's an action fighting game, so ideally you want it to be playing at 60. 30 is doable because it's not like super insane fast, but it is faster than Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter generally runs at 30, even on PS4, the most recent one that came out. So 30 is doable for sure, but hopefully this runs at 60. I think this probably ran at 60 on the PS4.
Yeah, I will not be surprised if this runs at 30 just to try to keep it fast-paced and smooth when you are actually playing it in handheld mode versus playing it on the TV.
You know what would be great is the option for quality versus performance mode. I love when video games do that.
That would be pretty nice.
I would love that. That's extra work on the developer's part, so I understand that it's not always available, but if they do that, my god, I want to like buy a game immediately when I hear that they have that mode. It's great. It's so good.
Oni, I have a very weird request for you. Can you, in Japanese, give me your cringiest generic anime action line? Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what it's saying, but you have to do the voice to go along with it.
Okay, so full disclosure, I don't speak Japanese. No, I'm kidding. Full disclosure, I don't watch a whole lot of anime, so I'm really not familiar with that kind of stuff. Despite me, I love video games that have like an anime aesthetic. The more ridiculous that a game gets in terms of visuals, the more I'm about it. Yet for some reason I don't watch a lot of anime, so I don't really know what they say a whole lot. I just know that there's a lot of like overly melodramatic moments and screams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I want you to give me your best take on one of those on the spot. Go.
Masaka, Kasan ga korosareta no da. You gotta add like
That's
over
excellent.
dramatic nonsense to it.
See, my go-to is always the gruff action, like speaking from the bottom of your throat. when you say it.
I really like to do that as well, but my current vocal state, I don't think I could do that properly without doing a little damage. You want to give me a little teaser of what you do?
Okay, so I do not know nearly as much Japanese as you do. So I am going to go with, did you study your Japanese homework when you came home from school yesterday? Which in high school, I beat that into my head.
Okay.
昨日のうちに帰ってから日本語勉強しましたか?
Oh, that's good. That was really nice.
No, thank you.
That was really good.
But, like, that's the tone that I got when I watched this trailer.
Okay.
Bring it back around now.
Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about. That song sucks.
It's terrible.
So anyway, for those who don't know, God Eater, what is that series about? It is a post-apocalyptic action RPG. It is fast-paced, hack-and-slash action with anime trash character designs. Therefore, sign me the hell up.
Mm-hmm.
It does have, especially this third one, it does have some similarities with Monster Hunter, but it definitely does its own thing. Now, it's anime inspired, so there's lots of over-the-top, flamboyant aerial combos and crazy things that you can do with all kinds of blood and gore all over the place. It has a bit more of a, I don't know, for lack of a better term, darker aesthetic. And all of that over the top, over the nonsense? What? Over the
top nonsense.
Thank you. Jeez. That is way more my style, so I'm hyped about this. I'm also particularly hyped about the 8-player online co-op. So when this game comes out, I'm looking forward to play this online with some of our lovely listeners.
8 players is actually pretty intense.
Yeah. Now, people who are fans of Monster Hunter, Bayonetta, and even Xenoblade fans should keep an eye out for this one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Excellent!
And finally, for the news this week, we got more announcements about Mario Odyssey and Labo VR. So, Mario Odyssey is getting a theater mode where you can view cutscenes using Nintendo Switch Labo VR. This is coming out with the free update on April 25th. This is pretty exciting. You can't play the actual game in VR, but you can view the cutscenes and a whole bunch of mini-games in VR.
Yeah. The minigames sound like they're going to be pretty fun. I'd like to see more details on that.
Mhm.
Honestly, the theater mode is just odd because, like, I don't remember a lot of the cutscenes or anything like that in that game being that, not visually intensive, but that engrossing into the point that I would want to see it in a VR environment. Like, are you going to be seeing things from, like, Mario's perspective? Or is it going to be what they do when it's like you're in a VR theater and you see a screen in it and you can look around and the screen like moves around and stuff?
That's a good question. I'm thinking it's going to be some of the latter.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool feature. It's nice that it's going to be there. It's just, it's very odd.
So, you know what else is odd is I bet what the majority of people are going to be using this VR experience for, the scenes with Pauline. All of those creepy sex perverts are going to be using those scenes to get all up close onto Pauline. You know what I'm saying. You know, like, something about her design in Mario Odyssey freaks me out. It's her gigantic head and, like, kind of anime-esque head with her realistic human proportion body just is such a disconnect. Like, have you seen those weird anime heads that some people, well, I shouldn't say some people, just
yes,
like you can
yes,
put
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can put the anime head on. This is a real life thing, by the way, listeners who aren't sure about this. Also, you should not be sure about this. No, I'm kidding. Like, whatever. People do whatever you want to do.
Sheltered at home.
Whatever you want to do. Everybody be into whatever. As I said before, I'm a weirdo, so it's totally cool. A big old head looks like an anime girl, and you put it on your head, and then you're just a real person with an anime head, and it's just an artistic difference. The big old disconnect between the head and the body, and that's what I feel like Pauline looks like.
I think it feels so weird because all of the other people in New Donk City are, for all intents and purposes, very normal.
Yeah.
Pauline, Peach, Mario, they're all
Mario styled.
Yeah, they're all that iconic Mario Nintendo style to it. And then it threw everybody off when you saw regular people. You know what it reminds me of, actually? Sonic 2006.
I don't know about that.
Well, and just the artistic differences between the way the characters are designed. And even don't even take Sonic into comparison with this. But if you look at like Eggman from that game compared to all of the other humans,
I see what you're saying.
I feel like that sort of disconnect in the artistic styles is comparable to what it was in Odyssey.
Well, we'll all be able to look at that a little bit more closer
In VR.
in VR.
As a side note, I really am happy that Nintendo is kind of pushing this experiment of VR with Labo.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see where this goes and if they kind of do something more with this in the future.
Yeah, I do hope that they do.
You know what I would love to see? I would love to see...
Pokemon Snap.
No. Well, yes, but I would love to see them do a callback to the Virtual Boy with the Labo.
They already did. They have an Easter egg in there.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
I had no idea.
A lot of twists. Gotta catch up. It's M. Night Shyamalan over here.
Nice to know I had a good idea.
So that does it for the news. Check out nintendoeverything.com for so much more news 24/7, round the clock, nonstop. Let's talk about our additional DLC. This week, I have a video for you called How 19 Years of X-Men Films Sabotaged Cyclops. Now, if you lovelies did not know this about me, I super love the X-Men. They had a pretty big influence on me when I was young, and the films that we've gotten in the past 2 decades have pained my soul because they got like 4, maybe 5 characters right ever.
Yeah.
This video essay that I am sharing with you is regarding why getting Cyclops right in their eventual inclusion in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is paramount to getting the X-Men right as a whole. It also explains why Cyclops is a crucial character and how public perception of him has been tainted mainly due to his reputation and representation in Fox's mostly terrible X-Men films.
Yeah.
This video is on YouTube by my homegirl Danica19, aka Comic Book Girl 19. Check it out and check her out. That girl is hilarious and she knows her shit. And even when I disagree with her opinions, I still love to hear what she's on about because she always is knowledgeable and has interesting things to say.
I'm gonna have to watch this video because I have my own theories on why Cyclops has sucked in the past couple of years when it comes to the movies.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. They completely misrepresented him.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So how about you? What you got?
So I'm a little bit more lighthearted this week. I've got something called the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Avengers Endgame style.
Oh, hey, both of our things kind of have to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
A little bit, yeah. This is just a fun little fan video somebody put together. It is taking the trailer for the upcoming Avengers Endgame movie, and it replaces all of the scenes with cutscenes from Smash Bros. And Breath of the Wild and some of the Metroid footage, and they splice it together quite well. And with some of the scenes, it's a very enjoyable, quick 2 minutes. It made me happy when I watched it.
That's cool. I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, so they even do some of the scenes where, like in the trailer, they made everything black and white, except they just made the one color of red pop out wherever red was in the actual in the scene. They do that same thing with the scenes that they took from the games themselves. No, check it out. It's pretty fun.
Cool. So, check out links in our descriptions for both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on over to my favorite segment, Listener Mail.
Listener mail. Listener mail.
No.
Okay.
Now, I remembered.
You remember this time?
If you have an email and you want to send it to us, you can send us that email. Why is this a weird sentence? At nintendoeverythingpod nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Remember to send those emails to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And your email might sound a little something like this.
So this week it looks like our friend Leanne has sent us another email. She writes, I have a question regarding physical collections. If you are into growing physical collections, what do you think of different design releases like Nintendo Selects and PlayStation Greatest Hits? For this generation of gaming, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, I've done a great job avoiding those until a few days ago when I picked up Darksiders 1 on the Switch, which spine lacks the classic red seen in all other Nintendo Switch releases. What are your thoughts on this topic? Are you bothered by having different designs as they stand out like an eyesore? Or do you not mind the disruptive choice? Thanks for the email, Leanne.
Thank you, Leanne. And I'm sorry I sort of paraphrased some of it. And thank you. I am feeling better, as you can tell by my voice.
Yeah, to start this off myself, I actually don't mind all too much. And it's weird. So when I was growing up, I collected Dragon Ball Z VHS tapes.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, you remember that. And it was normally 3 episodes. If you were lucky, you got a 4th one, and very, very rarely there were 2. But it's same thing. But the entire thing was, as they released the videos in a series, you would put the VHSs next to each other, and they would show an image that was representative of the entire series. So, for like the Android Saga, it would be the fight between Vegeta and Android 18. For the Majin Buu Saga, it would be a fight between Vegito and Majin Buu. But anyway, it kind of inspired this thing of seeing all of a physical collection on a shelf and just the synergy of everything that's up there.
Yeah,
so
the unhealthy obsession.
Exactly. Well, and it was really frustrating to me looking back on this because the edited version of those VHS movies, the spines on them were different than the unedited version. So once you made one purchase, you were in it for the long haul. With that said, though, I personally do have a pretty decent-sized video game collection, and I found that it doesn't bother me as much. I totally understand where Leanne is coming from on this, but I look at it like I like to sometimes upgrade or go to like a used game store to see if I can find a used copy of the Steelback books, because I like seeing those Steelbacks on the shelf, even though the way that they're printed, they don't have like all of it as a red for the Switch, or they don't have the red or the blue bar running across the top of it for PS4 games. So I can make an exception to that, and it doesn't bother me as much. But I can totally understand how, for some people, they like that design of it. What about you?
So for me, I'm sort of in a different category altogether. Especially lately, I am just like, get everything out of my space. I don't want anything. Like, give me everything digital, give me nothing else, which is stupid because I have Amiibo and I want to buy the Ken Amiibo. It's dumb. So I have contradictions. I'm trying to maricon my life right now, and it's struggling. It's struggling for me because I want fewer things, so I don't care about like Nintendo Selects redesigns or the Greatest Hits redesigns or anything like that. It doesn't bother me because I don't want anything physical in general. I still buy physical games because of various reasons, so yeah. But I can totally see, and especially how she mentions Darksiders 1 on the Switch is a different spine. That's kind of weird, so I can see how that would really drive people crazy.
Yeah. And I actually have to agree with you on being at that point where you're trying to limit the amount of physical items you have, especially with when the Switch came out. I found myself buying more and more digital copies just for the convenience of it all. So I think I have a total of maybe like 3 or 4 physical Switch games on my shelf.
Oh, wow.
All things considered.
Wow.
Yeah.
Knowing you, I'm surprised. So you must have a lot of digital games.
I do. I have like 30, 35 or so. But
That's crazy.
yeah, I think the only physical games that I have are Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I got a copy of Mario and Odyssey as a gift. I picked up Mario and Rabbids because it had there was a sale going on. And there's one other, the name escapes me. But yeah, I've only got like 3 or 4 physical cartridges. Everything else is digital.
Interesting. So I have the majority of my things physical, which is weird because the Switch lends itself so perfectly to digital media. But I do appreciate that the physical media for the Switch is much smaller. So that's at least something taking up precious millimeters in my life.
Yeah.
Precious millimeters in my life. That sounds like something you would read on like a bag that you would get in a Japanese clothing store.
Personally, I'm actually going through a bit of a transitional period, if you will, because we are currently downsizing, and I realized the other day that I actually have packed away a lot of my older consoles, like my PS3, my Wii, my Wii U, my 360. So I have all these games that are on displayed, and I have no access to play them unless I pull all of it out. So
yeah, so you have to think like, can I just get rid of all of this? Can I just dump it?
I'm kind of at that point. I'm at the point where I recognize there's no reason for them to be here other than to show off, hey, check out my retro copy of Lunar and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. But
well, keep those for sure.
Well, and I would definitely want to keep everything, but I'm at the point where I would rather put up pictures of my wife and I in Ireland or something.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of like packing those up and just leaving out like my Switch, maybe a couple of 3DS games, my movies, and my PS4 games, and just packing everything else away. And it's what's the opposite of cathartic?
Expurgation.
Oh, that's a $5 word.
Ablution.
You know, I kind of want to Scrabble challenge you on this, but I know I'll probably lose, so...
Cleansing. How about that? Cleansing or purifying, that kind of feeling. So that's interesting, though, because pretty much all of my like video games I have hidden away in a shame box. I don't display any of my video games. I have art on my wall, like that's for sure, of video games and other embarrassing adult child things. But my video games are like, keep that in the shame box.
I think that art is a little bit of a different category there when it comes to art from video games, because there's some really good art, both from the actual property and fan-based stuff as well. One of the things that I think of are the posters that I've seen from the card game Magic the Gathering, and they just have full poster art of the lands that you would play in that game, and they are gorgeous. They are, like, if you did not know it was from a game, you would never be able to tell the difference. You would just think it was some sort of fantasy artwork to it. So I can understand art. I think it's a different thing when you kind of remove that and you're more putting up something as a showpiece of, hey, I'm displaying my hobby more than I'm displaying this piece of art. Because, say what you will, game cases and, you know, VHS spines that are all next to each other, that is not necessarily art. So
yeah, I would much rather display art that I bought, whether it's like a poster from somebody super famous like Frank Frazetta, with, you know, sci-fi, fantasy, nonsense, crazy stuff like you're talking about with like the Magic the Gathering drawings, which were super inspired by Frank Frazetta, or if it's even if it's just official art from the video game in a nice poster. For example, I got a bunch of posters and stuff from the Square Enix Cafe when they were doing the Octopath Traveler experience there, and I love the art in that game so much, so I was so happy to display that on my walls.
And like, you can even pick up stuff that you got from games. Like I got the collector's edition of Destiny when it first came out, and one of the things that it came with was a detailed spherical map, or there's a bunch of spherical lines on it that show like different routes and different orbits that the planets that you can visit to travel on. And I really loved the way that it looked. I felt like it was very unique, and I framed that's hanging up above my couch right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So thank you, Leanne, for sending us that email and then launching us into this rant about displaying media and all that junk. If you want to shoot our psyche off into any which direction, you can again send us an email at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
That email one more time is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
So what's coming up, what's coming out on Nintendo Everything? We have, again, that review of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. And again, we have the giveaway. So check out our Twitter, check out our website for that. We also have a couple of exclusive translations that we've been working on coming up this week. I am about to take a look at some God Eater 3 stuff right after this to translate. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, check us out, nintendoeverything.com. Also our Twitter, where you can enter in a chance for that giveaway. That's at nineverything on Twitter. We also got the YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. And then on my Twitter, at Oni_Dino, and my Insta. My life is an embarrassing nightmare. Come take a look at it on my Insta. That's at Oni__Dino. And then Galen, what about you?
You can always find me and reach me at my Twitter at Mobius087. Haven't been posting on that a whole lot of days because I've been wrapping up our first Let's Play series of Resident Evil 2 Remake on Super Turbo Fighters. You can catch that over at YouTube. You can follow the episode updates. We usually launch an episode on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can look for episode updates on Twitter at Super Turbo Fight. Oni, I do have to say, these episodes that we came out with last week were probably some of my favorite from the Let's Play.
Oh, really? I don't rewatch them because I feel embarrassed.
They're so much fun to just hear your reactions in particular. You have screamed several times.
Oh.
But some of the fun things that came out last week was our fight against William Birkin with the storage container.
Oh, yeah, that was goofy. That
was some Acme Wile E. Coyote shit.
Yeah, it was exactly like that, like Roadrunner stuff.
And we also had the infamous, I called it the test of endurance, with the hallway with the 2 liquors and the 3 zombies. And a bunch of bad decisions.
You've been playing, so bad decisions sounds about right.
I think that's what I'm calling this entire, Let's Play series. Just bad decisions.
Put it on your tombstone when you die. Bad decisions.
Pretty much. You're assuming that there will be one. But yeah, no, it's we're wrapping up the series. We're actually going to be hitting the final series, I believe, this Wednesday, if everything plans out correctly. And then there might be a little best of video on Friday, depending on how things go.
Oh, so that's cool. So that way, if you haven't checked us out yet, you can check out the best of video so you can get a taste.
Mm-hmm. And if you like it, I'm totally shilling ourselves here, but catch the entire playthrough of that Resident Evil 1. Made a nice little playlist for you to be able to start from episode 1.
Cool. So be sure to give us a rating on iTunes and Spotify and all that junk. Share this podcast with a friend. That's what actually helps us out the most. And for everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Waddle don't indeed.